Welcome to snowy France. We're high in the Alps, just at the Albeville 1992 Olympic track at La Plagne, ready for the second and deciding heat of the sixth race of the Viessmann FIBT Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. It also counts as the European Championships for 2014-15. Hello everybody, Martin Haven with John Morgan alongside me. Looking forward to an absolute humdinger finish to this race, because after the first heat, John, there is nearly nothing between our top three sleds.
Yeah, they're separated by 1400ths of a second. Humphries Loatz from Germany, or excuse me, from Canada. She won this event a couple years ago, Kaylee Humphries. And Kaylee, first person down the track, set a track record, and looked like the Kaylee Humphries of old. One of the better runs of the year, and her coaches loved it. She's in a bronze medal position, but not far from the goal. Jamie Krubel-Posner, Lauren Williams. I really thought these two would have a better start. This is a long, flat start here. One of the longest flat starts that they have on tour. Fifth best start time, but on the bottom part of the track, Krubel, who wasn't smooth run, but boy, she flew on the bottom. She's in second place. And now the leader, Alana Taylor-Meyer, Cheryl Garrett. Both of them battling the flu, but they set a track record at the start. They set a track record at the bottom, and they got the lead by 1200ths over her teammate, but only 1400ths over Humphries, so it's a close race.
And it looks like the medals will definitely be decided between those three, because in fourth place, the best of the Europeans, Anja Schneider-Heinze, Franziska Bertels, 2400ths behind. They are in the lead, though, in the battle for the European Championship. Four-time European champion Kathleen Martini sits behind them in fifth. Christine Hengst of Austria in sixth position. So she's in the bronze medal position for the European Championships. 16 sleds completed the first heat, including rookie Nikki McSweeney, who will be first on the ice there. Schneidi, winner last week in St. Moritz.
Different brakeman.
Yeah, she's been changing around the brake women. Most of the German teams have been keeping their athletes cycling through the back handles of the sleds to keep them fit, to keep them race fit as well as healthy. Everybody's suffering a little bit with the sniffles and the colds this winter. Maybe that's because it hasn't actually been that cold here in Europe yet. And 1.5 meters of snow overnight, though, makes the parking lot there one of the must-plow venues very early on.
Snow has let up a little bit compared to the first run, but the whole track's covered with a roof. The whole track is, they wouldn't be able to have this competition if they didn't have this roof on the track.
Yeah. 1.5 meters of snow is more than the depth of the track walls. Nikki McSweeney will go first in the second heat. Her first ever World Cup race as a driver, with Lucy Onyeforo behind her. Running down to our top three athletes, Kaylee Humphries, Jamie Krubel-Posner, and Alana Myers-Taylor, who will go last to defend her first heat lead. Second and deciding heat of the Women's Bobsleigh World Cup here in La Plagne, France, race 6 of the season. And a first ever World Cup start this weekend for Nikki McSweeney, with Lucy Onyeforo behind her. Lucy, the 31-year-old from Manchester, 1,600 meter sprinter, former paralegal assistant in corporate. And Nikki McSweeney from Aylesbury and Bucks, 26-year-old, former heptathlete and rugby player.
The brakeman's favorite athlete is British sprint legend Linford Christie. So they had a 6:87 in the first run. It's a long ways. Usually it's some 6-second times at the start. Here it's 6 seconds for everybody. 6:85, 200's better. And we talked about it in the first run. This isn't British Blue sled. This is a obviously rented, lease, or they bought the Swiss sled, because I don't think this would be a Sirius sled though.
No, it's not a Sirius. It doesn't have the square edges on the top of the cowl. At least it's not a modern one, so it could be a Christian Wright-built sled. Of course, last year's European Championship, the gold medal won by Switzerland's Fabienne Meyer and Tanja Meyer. Meyer's racing here in the Swiss sled. It's a little tidier looking run than the first heat. Speed is higher as well.
Speed on this track and the Omega curve. Watch the outlet here. Good, just a little skid. Now the straightaway, this is coming up, is called the graveyard of time, because you can lose everything. You can bury your best time right there in that straightaway. It's right at the bottom.
103.10 in the first heat.
Pretty consistent.
103.14. So 2 trips safely completed for Nikki McSweeney, with Lucy Onyeforo, late replacement for Cody Burnett, who was on our original start list.
Little bang there. And down here in the Omega curve, you're going to see the sleds going up and down, but she came way down, got up higher than the runner marks, and had to steer out of that curve. But she's a rookie driver, and she gets to go in her first World Cup in the leaders box, at least for one sled.
Big smile from Nikki McSweeney. Next up is Marie van Hugenbosch of the Netherlands, the Youth Olympic Women's Bobsleigh champion from 2012. And Melissa Bakerman, the 25-year-old shot putter behind her.
She wants to make sure we tell everybody she does still shot put in the summertime. Still competes.
Doesn't want to get left out of any squads because they think she's disappeared off to be a la-di-da winter athlete. No la-di-da in this sport. 6.73 getaway, 6.69 in their first heat.
Pretty good lines down the track, but didn't carry any speed. I was very surprised. The sound compared to Samaritz last week, it was so quiet the athletes could talk to themselves on the way down. Here it's a refrigerated track. Of course, there's only a couple inches of ice between them and the cement. And plus the roof over the top of the track, Martin, provides more of an echo.
Extending her lead over the British sled.
Boy, she's really flying this time. This is a much better run. Better speed, too.
Good speed from her. She had 125 in the first heat, so just a little shy of that. And the first heat run from Marriott was 102.09. She's going to be pretty close to that. What does she end up with at the line? 102.43, so that's 4/10 slower.
Still a lot of time in the bank on the British sled. And she's the leader. First year out of the World Cup. And it's all about the start. Look at watch the feet come off the block, the long steps, but we don't like to see knees high in the air. We like to see that quick turnover and drive.
Don't like to see the sled go up or sideways.
No,
it needs to go forward and stay on the ice.
And you can see here a little bit of skid in the graveyard of time. I love this straightaway down here. Boy, she gets on a little bit early. Look at the articulation split a little bit. The suspension, you don't want that because then the air gets in there. It's all about aerodynamics when you're going 80+ miles an hour.
So it is the Dutch who lead with 14 to go. Next up is the first of our 2 Belgian sleds, 23-year-olds Anne van Nieuwenhuis and Sophie Verkrijzen, respectively a 1,600-meter sprinter Anne and a basketball player Sophie. Well, they had 1600ths of a second in hand over the Dutch in the first heat. Let's see if the junior Belgian Bullets can extend that advantage.
6.88 in the first run. A long start track. 6.95. Boy, a lot slower. And this is the European Championships. That's why we have 2 different TV crews here from Belgium. And you know what this small nation of Belgium has done. Elfin Davis last year at the Olympics. And then this year the World Cup, winning their first medals ever. It's brought a lot of attention to the sport. Belgium.
Well, they had 1600s in hand from the first heat. They're a little slow at the start, and they're still behind up until there.
A little rough so far on the exits of a couple curves, like there too. Well, like she's flying.
Like their teammates, they got a BTC Latvia sled producing good numbers at the bottom of the track.
Well, you saw her head snap there in the pressure point of Omega. She got down too low, but she's flying. With that start time deficiency, it's a good run. 102.50.
Again, slower than their first heat.
Well, that probably means the track's just slower in general.
Yeah, I think it is. I think the track is quite a lot slower. It'll be interesting to see what happens with our top 3, all of whom set new track records in Heat 1.
But personal best, that's all they're trying to achieve. This is a new driver out in the World Cup circuit. Here's that exit of curve 4. Watch from the high. That's decent. Now watch the way she comes off the curve and crosses over to the right side of our screen. That is a little airborne. And then watch how low she gets here. Now watch her head snap. Look at that head. Look at that. That's the pressure point. 4 G's of force. She got down too low there. And then on the exit here had that skid. But she's the leader.
Belgium, Netherlands, Great Britain, the top 3 at the moment. Next up is Victoria Olay from London, 31-year-old Victoria. Behind her, 22-year-old Alicia Kittle from Chelmsford in Essex. They have a slender advantage over the Belgians from the first heat. Just 0.08 of a second faster.
6:75 in the first run. So the way things are going, 6:80, 6:78.
Yep. Looks like everybody's a little slower at the start.
77. So she's got a quarter of a second lead to break. Alicia Kittle. Her favorite book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways. I think that's pretty appropriate for being the backseat of a bobsled.
I think you're right.
The sound.
Down on speed to the Belgian sled that currently leads, but they're holding a 0.26 of a second advantage now.
Good lines. She's going to need them. Down 18. Tap there. Watch the pressure here coming up in Omega.
Track will be feeling very different in this second heat than it did in the first. Speed's not as high, 124.2.
Needs to
She had
be perfect. Oh, it's down.
125.8.
Dead heat.
She's going to go behind. She won't find it at the bottom of the track now. Another couple of taps. Slips a spot as the Belgians move up. Half a second slower than their first run. Those 2 or 3 taps down at the bottom of the track robbed her of the speed she needed to keep her position.
Speed erased right there on the exit. A little tap like that cost you a lot. Then into the, again, the speed part of the track. You just can't make any mistakes here.
Maar even mijn maag doen.
Amy Burkhardt of Switzerland with Tanja Meyer behind her. Meyer, the reigning brakewoman European champion, won the title last year behind her driver, Fabienne Meyer, who's since retired. And Amy Burkhardt, 23 years old. Tanja Meyer, still 21. She's 22 on the 7th of February, which is a week Monday. No, it's a week Sunday.
Well, the start time was their nemesis, 6:77 in the first heat, 6:74 in the first heat, 6:77 here. This is probably the most experienced driver of the first 5 sleds we've seen. Didn't have a very good first run, in my opinion, because these City of sleds really fly on this track. The Swiss, this is like their second track. St. Moritz doesn't open until December. The Swiss come here all the time in October, November for all their practicing, their team trials. Flop there. Quarter of a second lead, but we saw that with the British sled. She threw that away. Leading a little bit back. Good speed, though.
That's the fastest we've seen. Tied with Anne van Nieuwenhuis in the Belgian sled. Our current leaders, so they'll hold that advantage.
Yeah, this is good lines. She finished 6th last week in St. Moritz. She was thrilled with that, her first event of the year. Belgium can only look on. There's Wolfgang Stamper, the long-time Austrian pilot, now coaching the Swiss.
Distinctive square-edged nose there of the Citius sled. Compared to the one that British girls were using, that's definitely the Citius.
This is a conglomerate of about 6 companies in and around Zurich that built all the Swiss bobsleds for the national team. Look at her high she gets in curve 4. Come off, it'll flop. Down into a curve 12, excuse me.
Citius Altius Fortius, of course, is the Olympic motto in Latin. Citius faster, stronger, higher. Nadia Sergeyeva of Russia next up, 27-year-old. Only recently turned to driving in the last 2 seasons. She's got Nadia Paleva behind her. Paleva, 29 years old.
She's been around a few years. .669 start. Both sprinters, both great track and field backgrounds. 660, wow. Somebody said you better push faster than that.
Well, don't forget that her brake woman missed the left hand
right.
on the handle,
right.
didn't she?
So
that gives an indication of just how much. That cost them at very least a 10th in the start. So
that's 30 at the bottom. So
there you
she'll
go.
be up in the top 10. Speed, decent. Another one of these athletes that they accelerated into the front seat. The Russians have an army of athletes. They have a fleet of sleds. They have a lot of development going on. In the skeleton race, there's 3 Russians in the top 6 today.
125.5, decent speed at the bottom. They'll keep their lead.
Ooh, maybe not making a mistake
Maybe
like
not.
that.
That'll
Watch
take
the
a 10th away.
You can throw it all the way right here. Those are good lines. This is much better heated and the better start time. Look at their time, 101.83.
That's about as close to their first heat run as anybody has got. Yeah, only a 10th slower.
So the track doesn't have the same speed as the first run. But she maintains her placing.
Well, she was knocking on the door of the top 10. That could be a top 10 finish, I think. That looked like a good run and a clean start.
Another new pilot up top here. Watch her get over here on the right side of our screen, tap the wall here a little bit, like a lot of sleds do. And look at her head. When that tap, her head gets thrown to the right, gets thrown into the middle of the next curve.
So Nadia Sergeva, our race leader, with 10 still to go. And there is the standings at the moment. First 6 sleds down, top 10 yet to come here in La Plagne, France.
2 minutes.
Well, that start from Sergeva, bearing in mind that everybody else has been pretty much slower by 4 or 5 hundredths at the start. So that might well have cost her 15 hundredths at the start, that deficit in the first run. Alexander Zubkov, little frustrated, I think, like everybody else in the Russian program, that although they've got the kit and they've got lots of athletes, what they don't have is electrifying starts in bobsleigh.
Not yet. Not yet. Just they're pairing up and they're switching, and they have the army of athletes. And you know, just coming from a sprint track doesn't mean you can push a bobsled. We saw that mistake that the brakeman made in the first run. It's just all technique, and it might not have been the brakeman's fault. It might have been the driver hitting the push bar wrong, and the brakeman having to struggle, which interrupts their cohesiveness. And
it's all about synchronizing the hits. But you've got to do what the Germans have done, what everybody's starting to do, which is take the big start monster brake women and put them on the front of the sled. See the sled's being maneuvered there at the top of the track, queuing up, waiting for their turn on the ice. Making sure nothing gets too cold by having the runners down on the ice before you need to. And it is still snowing everywhere you look. White stuff coming out of the clouds here. No sign of the sun today, that's for sure.
White gold to the ski resort above us.
Well,
there's
absolutely.
The snow for them. They're loving it. For us bobsledders, we're a little leery.
This place, La Plagne, goes from 1,300 meters to 2,350 above sea level. That's 1,000 meters in altitude of pistes that are just getting better by the second.
It's still one of the largest ski resorts above us. I think there's like 50,000 pets up there, some stupid number.
And I'm right at the very top with a great view over the whole valley. Not today, it has to be said. Right up in the clouds. When the Saints come marching in here in La Plagne, France, we're ready for the final 10 sleds in race 6 of the Viessmann FIBT Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. Current leaders Nadia Sergeva and Nadia Paleva of Russia, and it's their teammates Alexandra Rodionova and Lyudmila Urubkina, who they're trying to overhaul. This is only Rodionova's second World Cup race of the season, and Rodionova with a 10th place finish, 700ths quicker in the first heat. Martin Haven alongside me, John Morgan trackside here at La Plagne, watching the action.
Brakeman's got a lot of experience, Lyudmila. She's a blacksmith by trade. They had a 5:75 or 6:75, 6:76 second run. The more experienced Russian teams at the bottom in the lead. This was, I think, a little bit of an upset.
Yeah.
You know, because it's only her second time we've seen her.
It's going to be interesting to see how she manages to keep consistency in these two runs.
Well, she was 2,200s down now, but she lost 1,600s of that at the start. So if she stops the bleed, next clock 25 or 2,600, she'll have a chance. Oh, she's bringing it back. This is what she did in the first run. So she's, and these are not smooth lines. So I think she's got probably the better setup, better runners. Speed's decent, right?
Yeah, half a kilometre an hour up on her teammate. Has she got enough track? 700s could be very close.
Needs to be straight here. The graveyard.
Oh, that might have undone it. Double tap and a big skid there.
Right to the 100. 12. Look at that. She came back in the bottom. Not smooth. Sometimes the rough rides are the fastest.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the bottom part of this track, you know, in that graveyard, you could throw away a lot of time there. So the question is, if she was minus 12, what would she have been if she'd been clean?
And fast at the start.
Yeah, well, she was...
So
She came
Alexander...
back. She red numbers all the way to the bottom. The only clock we saw green numbers was on the bottom. So her drive lines through Omega, then to here, this is the only mistake we saw. But again, sometimes the roughest rides are the fastest.
Kristen Bromley was always the ultimate exponent of that in skeleton. And there is Alexandra Rodionova with Ludmila Udobkina, your race leaders. 9 to go here in St. Moritz. As next up come the Belgian bullets, Alpha Willemsen and Annelies Holthoff, both 30-year-olds, former track and field athletes. Alpha was also a javelin thrower. Annelies Holthoff, rope skipping is listed as a former sport. I don't think it was double Dutch. Double Belgian, maybe.
Worst, probably one of the worst starts of the competition, but this is the Belgian Bullets. Elfie's the second-ranked athlete in the World Cup standings. Didn't have a very good first run, 8th place. Expected to be better on a track that favors. It's long, you know, it's over a minute. You know, like in Koenigsee was 49.50 seconds, and she got a silver medal there. So here you think it would favor her, so I was a little perplexed that she did not have better time than she did.
Speeds are high, and they're the same as she was producing in the first heat. Well, she had really good speed at the bottom, 127.3.
She's pulling away now. Expect that. Again, ranked second, World Cup points. Boy, she brought a lot of attention to the Belgian bobsleigh. Belgium used to be a power in the sport a long time ago. Silver medal at the 48 Olympic Games.
3200s over the Russians from 700s in the first heat. This is a better, tidier run. 101.48, 101.58, only a tenth slower on the second heat.
I don't think that's going to get her to move up too much.
Well, she was only 200s behind Jasmine Fenlater of the USA, so, I mean, that's the blink of an eye on this track. That's you know, non-existent gap.
Well, watch these lines. Now watch the see the sled. You see their suspension and all come apart? No. Just perfect transition on and off the curves. It's probably one of the best drivers. Her and Kathleen Martini, I think, are the best drivers. And as I say that, we watch a little bit of skid here down in the graveyard. Sled coming sideways right at us. Beautiful pictures, but boy, she didn't panic.
That run was a lot better.
Yep.
A lot better. You heard it right there from her second run.
And yet no faster, because the track has definitely lost time since the first heat. Well, here is Jasmine Fenlater of the USA, 8th place off the first heat, just 200s in front of our current leaders. So the Belgians setting a pretty tough marker for her. 29-year-old with 26-year-old Natalie Durat, originally from Sheffield in England. Now comes from Asheville, North Carolina. 6:68 start, exactly the same as their first heat.
I don't think Jasmine had a very good first run either. These green numbers, gets great speed there, 69.3. Start speed relevant to the last couple steps of the sled and how the athletes got around that first curve. Elaborate three-quarter combination. sweeping right. This is where you start to get to about 60+ miles an hour here and keep accelerating.
And better speeds already than in her first heat.
Boy, she's got 3/10 of a lead. There's been too many times. First World Cup of the year when Viessmann won a silver medal. Not many times that she's beat Viessmann the rest of the season.
Great speed there. 1:27.7 was as quick as anyone went in the first heat. Much tidier run. Look at this from Viessmann Fenlater.
You expect her. She's a great driver. Gives up time at the start. 1:01.16.
0.3 of a second quicker.
Wow.
That's how bad the first run was.
Yeah. You expect that of her, not to be back in this position. So
that would put her 400s out of 4th place in the first heat if she'd managed that.
668, 101.16.
So they all get all the information right away from the coaches, the start time, the finish time. The speeds here, no one's matched her speed so far. Great lines, there it is. Look at that, almost a full kilometer better than Viessmann. Viessmann is the queen of speed. She always has the best speed on every track. So Viessmann Fenlater would have done that in both runs. She would have been challenging for a medal.
Well, so far it's been the US that sort of top the speed trap figures here in France. What can the Germans do here? Stephanie Schurek, 10th out of the start shed this morning, the 28-year-old, with long jumper Elina Nolter behind her, 25 years old. Schurek not out of the top 10 this season, but not on the podium either.
She's been around a long time as a brakeman. Last couple of years, she's made the move into the driver's position. Look how far they run on this track.
There you go. That's the brakeman for you. She's still got the brakeman's physique.
6:56 start. Wow.
Well, that'll be in the top 4 of starters. And it's only her first season driving in the World Cup, so this is only her 3rd year in the front of a sled.
69.7, pretty good speed, but boy, she better be perfect down here because Fenlater just lit the place up.
Slower than the American sled.
She's got 2400s, but that's going to bleed a little bit away unless she has a great run. Now it's down to 15. I got to believe Fenlater's going to catch her at the bottom.
Still a lot of corners to go. If she's oversteering in them just to keep the line.
She's going to fall at least one, maybe
2.2 kilometers down.
She could fall behind Graves. And boy, really low lines there in Omega. Watch the rudder tips here in the straightaway. Plagne. Boy, she's going to fall at least one spot.
Second at the line. She's got speed at the start, but not enough driving experience yet to combat Viessmann Fenlater with a good second run. The American sled will move up.
She shakes her head.
Well, she's coming.
The coach is saying, Rennie Spies, veteran pilot, just didn't have the speed. Look how low she gets, you know, when you lose a third of the sled like that, and then she keeps it low. Sled, so she really did a lot of steering right there. Now look at the way she comes out on the wrong side of the straightaway. Should be over on the right side to get on the take-on. Take-on's where you get on the curve. You don't want to steer to the middle of the curve and steer around it.
Tape over the nose to stop the visor misting up in this cold air. Similar effect for Christina Hengster with that built-in nose guard. Christina Hengster with Sanne Dekker behind her. Sanne Dekker, the youth Olympic champion in women's bobsleigh, still just 21 years old.
I'd say that Hengster had a great run first heat, 6:72. She's going to need all the starts she can get here.
10th, 7th, and 9th, her 3 races
now,
this year.
69.7 was Fenlater's speed in the left. The speed tells you everything. 69.3, so she's almost a half a kilometer down, and she's tapped there at 3. Watch the rudder tips here. Good, but it's down to 2. Hengster flew in the first run, but I think that Fenlater flew better than almost anybody in the second run so far.
Almost a kilometer slower than our current leader.
She's not going to match unless she finds something here at the bottom, but I don't think she's going to match Fenlater.
At the moment, she's behind Stephanie Schurek of Germany as well. 1:25.7, a whisker quicker than the German sled, but I'm not sure it's enough.
This was a great one-heat wonder today for Christina Hengster. This is going to knock her out of a chance to win a medal in the European Championships. 3 places.
Oh, big skid across the line.
The Americans live on in that box.
Yeah, yes, they do.
Hengster, she falls behind both Shurek and Williamson, so she falls. She knows it. Look at the expression. All quiet on the Western Front there. Up top, this is where the first mistakes were. Tap before the takeout. Look at that, airborne. And then now she's got to go to the middle of the curve. She's about 8 inches lower than all the other runner marks. More steering, more friction, less speed.
Imagine the effect it takes to lift a sled like that. Viessmann Fenlater, our leader, with 5 sleds still to come here in La Plagne. There's Viessmann Fenlater, Natalie Durat on the right, formerly from Yorkshire, now from North Carolina. Kathleen Martini of Germany, 4-time a European champion, once a world champion in women's bobsleigh. Stephanie Schneider behind her. She lies in 5th place, but 2nd in the European Championships is between her and her teammate who comes next, Anja Schneiderheinze.
First time we've seen Schneider on the brakes this year. She would have been nursing an injury. Look how far she runs.
And the low heel action is just exemplary.
660.
Well, she knows Schneider is going to start a 10th quicker, so this has got to be the one that counts for
Look
Martini.
at the speed, though. Look at that speed. That's relative to that brakeman having that much power to run farther. She's even better than Fenlater in that start speed, as we talk about. Oh, she's got a big lead. And this, I don't think Martini had a great run in the first heat. Of course, she went later.
She's got to overhaul Schneiderheinze, who's at 12 hundredths in front of her.
Ooh, time's coming back.
Yeah. See Kathleen's helmet wobbling around there. Violence to some of the transitions on this track.
Speed, not what the Americans had. This is going to be close.
78.5 miles an hour, down to only 800s. Will she be in front of Fenlater?
Perfect line there.
Has to be. She wasn't as fast as the American sled. Could be red at the line. It is red at the line.
Oh, that's... But she's still the top European so far. She guarantees herself a medal in the European Championships. We keep referencing that, but there's 2 big targets. It's the Europeans, then the Worlds.
Well, right now, it could be a German top 3 because Stephanie Schneider overhauled Elfa Willemsen to lie 2nd at the moment in the Europeans.
Start. I tell you, I was really impressed.
How much the
Stephanie
sled
Schneider
moved sideways, almost dropped on Martini's foot.
She had great start speed about curve 3, and that's how come she can run that far.
Yeah.
And the lines down here on the bottom, well, hard to figure out where she lost it because she had great velocity up top.
Well, she leads right now, and it's for the European Championship gold medal. Anja Schneiderheinze and Franziska Bertels leading after the first heat. Schneider, 36 years old, she's a brakewoman for Sandra Kyriasis. Couldn't tell you how many European and World Championship wins she had. Now as a driver in her own right, looking to add to her individual tally.
Bertels has been around for a long time, veteran of the German
Well,
program.
again, another brakewoman for Sandra Kyriasis over the last few years. 2nd fastest start in the first heat, 6.51. They should go quicker.
Different brakeman than last week when she won, the young 19-year-old sprinter. 6:51, same exact start. Now watch the speed. Now, we're looking for 67 flat here for that type of start.
Looking for 70.
70.6. No one's come close to that. But she's got a lot of runner movement right there.
This is quicker than her first run. Speed not as high there, though. She had 88.1.
I think that exit of 2.3 didn't look good to me. See the next clock.
Half a second up on Kathleen Martini, down to 4 tenths and less.
Yeah, but we saw Martini throw away a lot of time. 2600s from this point on. That's a late line. Down to 25.
Kilometres an hour slower than Martini. Surely she's got enough left to hang on. Whoa!
Well, I don't know. It's just going to be another one. This is
Could be close. Is Martini going to win the European Championship gold, or will it be Anja Schneiderheinze of Germany? It's Martini by 600s. Viessmann Fenlater leads, but Martini... Oh no, Schneider is in 2nd, Martini is in 3rd, 500s back. So it is Schneider, Martini and Shurek.
The European Championships only involves Europeans. So Martini looks on. Look at the difference, 500s difference between the 2 of them. That's a big deal. It's the European Championships, then the World Championships. That's what all these athletes put their targets onto. Whether or not she wins a medal, though, that's debatable.
So, Viessmann Fenlater of the USA leads with 3 sleds to go. First up, Kaylee Humphries of Canada, the double Olympic champion. From Calgary, Alberta, with Barhead, Alberta's Melissa Lothoz, the 23-year-old rookie. There are your race leaders.
They've come a long ways.
Yeah, could they end up on the podium?
Pretty impressed with Kaylee Humphries in the first run. Her and Melissa had a 6:55 start. That's what they can do here.
4400s in front of Viessmann Fenlater from the first
She
heat.
came out of that first turn, though, on the left side of our screen. Speed, gonna need that 70.5. So look at that, no speed, 69.7. That's well off the Germans and probably equal to Fenlater. So, boy, Kaylee Humphries had a great first run. She got a half-second lead. There's no way she can throw that away. So this is for at least a bronze medal. And boy, she's only 1400ths out of a gold. So she puts 2 of them here together. She could come out of here with the gold medal like she did 2 years ago, last time we're on this track.
Only 2 podium appearances so far this year in the women's race. A pair of bronzes in Calgary and then in Altenburg.
Like
4100s up. She had 4400s from the first heat.
This is the Kaylee Humphries we know, where she belongs on the podium. Oh boy, look at the time she lost.
Down to 18. The speed nowhere near what Viessmann Fenlater had down the track. 101.42. Fenlater came down 101.16. That will remain the fastest trip of this heat. So Kaylee Humphries takes the lead, but by 1800s.
Well, the North Americans have spoiled the European Championships so far. Start here, 2 exact same start times. You know, the precision you need in this sport, the consistency you need in this sport. Kaylee Humphries, well, she's won 2 Olympic gold medals in the last 2 Olympics because of that precision and consistency.
Yes, she has. Kaylee Humphries of Canada leads, 2 to go, both for the USA. So we got Canada, USA, Germany, Germany, Germany on our leaderboard, and 2 US sleds still to go. First up, 1200s off the lead, only 200s in front of the Olympic champion from the first heat, Jamie Grubel-Poser, with Lauren Williams behind her. The London Olympic gold medalist in the 4x100 relay, behind the elementary school teacher and former heptathlete.
Disappointed in their start. 6:59, only the 5th best start. This track suits Lauren Williams' world-class speed. 6:56 better, so we're going to need to see 70 kilometers an hour speed down here.
200s in front of Kaylee Humphries at the start.
Not very good speed. But we also saw a very rough ride by Jamie Grubel-Poser on the bottom part of the track, but it was fast.
Better speed now than the Canadians.
Ooh, late there.
Humphries, 126.5 low down the track.
Boy, I tell you, she flew in the first run with rough ride. She hit a wall there again.
She had
another one.
She had 127.7. That's quicker than Humphries, but not as quick as her first ride.
Oh, she's a lot of double dip there in the pressure point. She's got to steer hard here. Watch the straightaway.
Come on, Jamie. This is for the silver medal at the very least. For the lead of the race with only 1 to go. Tidying up those lines. 101.17, almost as quick as Viessmann Fenlater's 101.16.
But I'm still perplexed by that start speed. You know, the Olympic gold medalist from London, this favors her, but they just somehow entry into the sled wasn't good because she should have better than that. Look at that, almost here. That's late.
Almost wrecked.
Listen, she was late in the first run all the way down the track. Sometimes the roughest rides are the fastest. That was a rough ride, but boy, she was quick.
Well, they got down safe, and they lead with 1 sled left to go. Alana Myers-Taylor of the USA, Olympic silver medalist and standout brakewoman, now leading into the final heat here. 3 wins already this season. And does she round out January with another one? Her fourth win potentially coming up with Cherelle Garrett. These two women struggling with flu-like symptoms this week. Alana looking very unwell at the end of the first heat, but she's back to try and win this.
Well, they set a track record at the start in the first heat, 6:44. Both of them under the weather. 6:45. So that blew away the old start record. Let's watch their speed. See what their entry into the sled was. 69.9. Remember, we saw one of the Germans with 70.5. Anna's had a rough couple weeks.
Same speed as the first heat.
Quarter-second lead, but we've seen those leads evaporate on this track.
Absolutely right. Big skid will take away almost all of that in the wrong place.
200s.
Speed at the bottom in the first heat, 127.8. No one went quicker. 127.3. Still quicker than anybody apart from her teammate Jasmine Fenlater.
80 miles an hour, she's pulling away. The straightaway here is the only thing that could hurt her, and she's going to skid. Watch out.
The Americans are going to have the three fastest runs of this heat. 101.05. The American sleds produced the top three runs in this heat. Only Jasmine Fenlater's slightly disappointing first run kept her out of the medals. Otherwise, it would have very likely been a US clean sweep. Alana Myers-Taylor and Cherelle Garrett win for the fourth time, and Alana climbs very gingerly out of the sled. Leave nothing on the table, they say, and they left nothing. Every ounce of their fiber has just been used up in 1 minute and 5 seconds. 1 minute and 1 second. Jasmine Fenlater looking after her teammate. These girls have all had a tough few weeks in Europe. Lots of crashes, injuries that go with that, feeling unwell too. But Alana Myers-Taylor and Cherelle Garrett could so easily have just said, "Coach, take us out of this race. One of our teammates will win." No, they stepped up, they stood up, and they drove down into their fourth race win of the season. Alana Myers-Taylor, our World Cup points leader. 2 years ago on this track, she was in the bronze medal position with Katie Eberling, behind Jamie Grubel and Emily Azevedo. Kaylee Humphries and Chelsea Valois were the winners, and some of those names are still in there. Jamie Grubel, second silver medal in succession. Kaylee Humphries goes from gold to bronze, as Alana Myers-Taylor goes from bronze to gold in a 2-year turnaround of fortunes. Jasmine Fenlater and Nat Durat, great job by them to go fourth after being in, 8th place after the first heat. And in the European Championships, Anja Schneider-Heinze, Kathleen Martini and Stephanie Schurek lock out the podium for Germany. Big result for them. Well, domination in terms of speed in the final run by the 3 US sleds. Smile back on the face of Alana Myers-Taylor as well as her teammates. So 101.5, 101.16, 101.17 for the 3 US sleds. The next closest run in terms of speed, 101.42 for Kaylee Humphries. They were in a class of their own in the second heat. The track definitely suited the setup that they and their coaches had worked on and chosen for today. In the second heat, more so than the first. See there the shaver used for removing some of the bumps and high points on the track, for manipulating the ice as it gets put on and off the track. And this is the steep valley in which this track is set. It doesn't so much wind its way down, it plummets its way down this track. Really pick up speed at a prodigious rate here in La Plagne. So the 1992 Winter Olympic track, the venue for this year's European Championships. Germans looking very strong indeed. Schneider-Heinze, Martini and Schurek, Alfa Willemsen in 4th, Christina Hengster of Austria in 5th, and Alexandra Rodionova of Russia in 6th position. Congratulations to Nikki McSweeney and Lucy Onyeforo for joining the World Cup in their first World Cup start together. And they finish in 12th place in the Europeans. There's Kaylee Humphries, offering her congratulations to Alana Myers-Taylor, for whom a pillow and a duvet cannot arrive fast enough. I think she needs to get back to bed pretty quick. And there are some Belgian fans down at the side of the track as well. I'm sure they'll go and meet the athletes in a moment. Race 6 of the Viessmann FIBT Women's World Cup and the European Championships at Plagne. Anja Schneider-Heinze, Kathleen Martini and Stephanie Schurek lock out the medals for Germany ahead of the Belgians, the Austrians and the Russians, with Alexandra Rodionova, the top Russian there. And those are the 12 sleds who competed in the European Championships. And our overall race win, of course, went to North America, with Alana Myers-Taylor on the top step of the podium. Her 4th win of the season sees her accelerate away from Anja Schneider-Heinze, Kaylee Humphries. Alpha Willemsen slipping just a few points down into 4th place from 2nd she was earlier in the season. And Jasmine Fenlater, Jamie Grubel-Poser continuing to hold strong top 6 positions. And World Cup rookie Stephanie Schurek, very consistent speed from her, in 7th in the World Cup rankings, and now a European Championship bronze medal to go with that. Kathleen Martini eased out of a 5th European gold by teammate Schneider-Heinze by just a few hundredths. Well, let's hear from our top 3. They are all from North America. And we'll catch up with them in a moment. Kaylee Humphries of Canada, with Melissa Lottholtz behind her. She takes the bronze medal. Silver goes to Jamie Grubel-Poser, with Lauren Williams. Wardrobe malfunction, her jacket won't do up. And the gold medal. Toughing it out again in a season of toughing it out. You notice some of the US sleds covered in black tape and stitched together with tie wraps. Alana Myers-Taylor and Sherelle Garrett claim victory number 4 of the campaign. 2 huge starts, 2 great drives from Alana Myers-Taylor, no matter how under the weather they were feeling. And there's a lot of weather to be under here in Plagne, with all the snow coming down. They didn't let anything interrupt their run. Led the first heat, led the second heat, fastest in both runs inside the old track record set 3 years ago by Kathleen Martini, as Alana Myers-Taylor headed to win number 4 of the season. Well, that'll put a little bit of a smile back on her face. However, I think a good rest and a good meal will do an awful lot towards that as well. Let's catch up with our top 3. John Morgan is there.
Okay, Team Kaylee Humphries, 2 good runs. Kaylee, bronze medal. It's got to make you feel good on a track you always do well on.
I do. I like this track a lot. Overall, yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with our starts. We keep improving, getting closer to these guys on those, which is good. And I had 2 pretty consistent runs. So overall, a great day.
Great start times, too. So, silver medal here, Jamie Grubel-Poser. You both two seemed like you were pretty good at the start, but your ride down the track wasn't smooth, but boy, you were fast.
Yeah, I was hoping for a little smoother ride on the second run, but I guess the good thing about this track is you can be free and be fast, so I just tried to go with the track, and I love this track. It's the first track I ever got a medal on, so I'm happy to be back here and back on the podium with Lauren and all my other teammates from USA and Canada.
Congratulations, and yes, you were a free spirit on the track today. Now, I got to ask you two. You two aren't feeling too well either, are you?
No, it's been a little bit of a rough week for Team Myers-Taylor, Garrett, I don't know what you call it. But, you know, we just wanted to come out and do the best we can, and it worked out for us today.
Yes. Start record, track record, you got to be feeling pretty good about that?
Yes, feels good. It always feels good. We got down.
Congratulations. Ladies.
Well, they got down fast, they got down in a gold medal position. Alana Myers-Taylor and Sherelle Garrett. That's the 4th win of the season. Jamie Grubel-Poser back on the podium as well. So that's it for the women's bobsleigh from Plagne, France. Next week they're in Eagles in Austria. You can catch all the action there, courtesy of FIBT TV. My thanks to John Morgan, to you for joining us especially. I'm Martin Haven saying we'll see you next time out. Until then, au revoir from Plagne.